I've been waiting for automats to come back in style. I am so happy this is going on.
Well, everything old is new again, including a style of dining that gained popularity during the Great Depression called automats. It's a type of food vending machine that allows diners to pay for their meals and then receive them from a cubby-like compartment. The last one in New York City closed in the 1990s, though, but now restaurateurs are bringing them back. So for more on
I know in Japan they have a type of automat restaurant where the food is on a conveyor belt. You can occasionally see them in various anime and other cartoons. Those are pretty cool too. You just grab what you want, and then you take your plate up and pay for it that way. Or uh, maybe some places have a uh, person come by and get your bill. Uh, but I've been waiting for automats to come back. This is actually pretty awesome because you don't have to sit around in a diner or something or wait for your food. You can just go in, grab what you want, and go.
this, we are joined by Stratus Morfogen. He is the creator of the Brooklyn Dumpling Shop, which is an automat chain based in New York. So you got me going right down the rabbit hole, right, with this, because people know I live in Philadelphia. So as soon as I started to read about it, the first one was in Philadelphia, took off, and then immediately they opened it, very quickly they opened another restaurant in New York, and it's been great. So talk to me about what the original automat was and why it's coming back.
It's funny, we're flipping that. So the original one for me is New York, and we have 3 in construction in Philadelphia right now.
Oh, get out.
Yeah.
That's great.
So the graffiti we're putting on the wall, we're doing like a homage to the Horn and Harder.
Right.
Because the Horn and Harder to me was the Model T. I got introduced to it when I was 10 years old, and it never left my mind, growing up in the 3rd generation of restaurants. But when I got turned on to the automat, and then I realized, in the 70s and 80s, it started falling apart. I didn't see them anymore.
Yeah.
And what happened with the automat, to put it shortly, is that technology failed the automat in the 70s. The rise of fast food was coming at us, and there were no dollar bill receivers. There were no credit card processors. So the consumer fell out of favor with the automat.
Yeah, once dollars became more normative, people started falling out with automats because they were mostly coin-operated systems, and people didn't want to carry around a bunch of coins on them.
So the point is, technology killed the automat in the 70s.
Yeah.
And the last one, like you said, was 1991.
Yeah. More novelty than anything.
Yeah, it was a novel thing because they went from, I think, 100 locations down to like 17 by 1980s.
Right. So the original, the old style, you go in with your coins, and the secretaries who had never been sort of working in the city before, they were there, and the businessmen, and you had this, you threw your coins in and you got whatever was in the cubby hole. And it offered you a quick, fresh meal. You didn't have to tip anyone, which would be a little bit different than a sit-down restaurant. Sounds great. What's the new version of this?
So, what we did first it started at Brooklyn Chop House. We created this new variation of dumpling. We created a sandwich dumpling. We do everything from peanut butter and jelly, bacon cheeseburger, everything that was once a sandwich is a dumpling. So it's important that the fare is there because the automat can be a novel approach. If your food is not great, people will come, experience it once, pull out their phone. So what we did with Brooklyn Dumpling Shop is that I wanted to create a restaurant concept that speaks to the phone. So we created the smartphone automat, smartphone controlled automat. And when I see my kids 15 and 16, they barely want to speak to me. They text me more than they actually speak to me sometimes.
You're not gonna want to have your entire restaurant based around having to order using your food. You maybe want a kiosk or like a manual way for people to just, put in their credit card or something, a card reader or a dollar bill acceptor so that people can pay that way. Just make it similar to like a vending machine. That's the easiest way to do it, in my opinion.
I said, this is where it's going. Is that we need to basically, when people go to a restaurant, like I just heard like the McDonald's and the Starbucks of the world, we have the latest in self-ordering kiosks. And these self-ordering kiosks are the latest thing. Well, I tell them, and I've done it a couple of times in a conference, and I don't mean to be mean by it, but I said the self-ordering kiosk is this generation's fax machine. It's already outdated. This is the cash register.
So how does yours work?
Controlled by a smartphone. We do
But not everybody is going to want to order their food using their phone. It's going to be kind of annoying if you have to take out your phone every time you want to order. I mean, I know people use Uber Eats and stuff like that all the time, but I mean, it's kind of reminiscent of the QR code menus. People did not really like that.
Do have the kiosks there because the kiosks have to speak to the 35 and over crowd that walk in and be like, wow, how do I do this? And we have a greeter in the front, and the greeter actually.
What is this?
Yeah. So the greet actually with our automat, people say, oh, it's lack of personalization. Actually, we do more customer service because we have a greeter in the front. Hey, first time here, let me show you how it works. And yes, they bring these guests, which especially over the 35 age group, they'll bring them to the kiosk and show them how the kiosk works. But when you get the 15 to 30-year-olds, they've already placed their order online. They've picked a time. They've paid for the order. It says 3 o'clock. They walk in at 2:55, and they're like this to the greeter. They got it. They understand it.
And they just go to the cubbyhole and get their meal.
They get a
So your restaurant is like basically like for 15-year-olds and up. I mean, you're not really gonna have like. I mean, I guess he's getting good business that way, but it seems pretty. Seems like a pretty niche age group to go after.
QR code. They scan their phone and they take their food and go.
So who is coming? Who are you seeing come more? Is it people looking for nostalgic finds, or is it someone who is young going, okay, I'm going to try something totally unheard of?
So the whole creation and concept of Brooklyn Dumpling Shop is to respect the consumer's time. And that's it. And, it's like we don't need toll booths on the highways. We don't need umpires behind home plate in baseball. These are like obstructions to getting to the finish line. And I think that's what a cashier is. What we've done is we've just moved the transactional experience to the guest experience. We don't need to assist people on placing the order. But when they're at the shop, we'll tell them what to have, how to do it, how this system works. Once they get a taste of it, and I've heard this from senior citizens, they're like, wow, you have changed my way. I can't even look at a cashier the same way anymore when I walk into the traditional fast casual restaurants.
Yeah, I mean, basically, it's just taking out the middleman of a cashier and a server and giving people like direct access to what they want. Um, if more places like this pop up, it's going to be a set menu, which most places do have, and people won't have to talk to anybody. They'll just, order and go. And I actually really like that because it just makes everything more simple, in my opinion.
And it's exciting because we're changing their buying habits. But the truth of what we did with Brooklyn Dumpling Shop is that we've respected the consumer's time. You want it at 3 o'clock? Well, we're going to have it ready for you at 3 o'clock in a heated locker. But everything is cooked to order. There is a kitchen behind the automat.
That's what I was going to ask you about. What's happening behind? Is it like a duck? The whole thing about a duck, and when you look under the water, the ducks are like frantically moving, but on the surface, it looks so perfect.
It's pretty similar because what we do is some of our restaurants have open kitchens, but there's always a couple of people cooking at all times. Everything is cooked to order. When people get to the Brooklyn Dumpling Shop, which we have all in the tri-state area, now we're in Dallas and Austin as well, you can order online, say 3 o'clock, pick it up, but we're cooking it at 2:55. And we're getting it ready, and it's fresh and hot.
Wow.
But if you come to the store, it takes about 6 to 8 minutes because it's being cooked to order.
So why did you? Everyone loves dumplings. You didn't have to do something like this. You could just do a regular takeout dumpling spot. Why this?
Economics. We actually created this before the pandemic, so it's nothing like we said, oh, this is for the pandemic. No. What it is that 3 employees can actually service up to 250 guests a day.
Wow.
The industry norm is about 6, and that's why we've sold over 200 franchises from here to Vancouver, because it's an economic model that works from the business.
Hopefully, they're paying the employees more. I mean, if they can use less employees and service the same amount of people as they can do with 6, the employees definitely deserve more money. The problem with a lot of people is we are developing more and more efficient technology, yet people aren't getting paid more and more like they should be because you got greedy bosses and CEOs and stuff. That needs to change. Those that are doing automation and stuff and using the more efficient technology, they should be required to pay higher wages or pay higher taxes so that these people can be paid.
Business standpoint, and it really works for the consumer because the consumer really is in full control of the ordering.
There's clearly an appetite for it.
Yeah,
I had to say it.
Yeah, and no, like we always say, who doesn't like a Reuben dumpling or a pastrami dumpling or a bacon cheeseburger? To me, it's like the way a pig in a blanket was introduced to the hot dog in the 70s.
Right.
This is a pig in a blanket for sandwiches.
Why are you trying to make us hungry for? Why